Okay, let's start this video like this. Hi guys, hi there, how's everybody? I hope everybody can see me. My head's not cut off and all of that. But here with another video about MDC Brooklyn. Now, those of you that have seen my prior videos know that I did federal time. I got a video series. You can guys go back and watch it. And I was at 13 different federal institutions because the feds, they make it hurt. They jump you from wherever they want to jump you, put you in, just so that you're far away from any loved ones. It's ridiculous. So you won't have any commissary and stuff like that. So I just found out that P Diddy is crying. Like, the dude is crying because he was at an institution I was in for about 7 months, and that institution would be MDC Brooklyn. And let me tell you a little about MDC Brooklyn. It is dirty, to say the least. The CEOs there, they don't care one snidge about you. Like, they're not there to help you in any way, shape, or form. You're basically on your own. And the cells, and just the way that the whole institution, even from the holding cells on the bottom, because remind you, when you walk into one of these buildings, you're walking into the first floor, and they'll probably have an elevator to send you up, but you walk in, and the holding cells are right there. The holding cells will be usually on the first floor. I remember when I walked into MDC Brooklyn, it was a van. It was 6 or 7 of us, and when they put us in the holding cell, the restroom didn't work. The restrooms didn't work. They were out of commission. And mind you, the waiting, you're going to wait at one of these cells probably a day or two. This is where you're going to be at. And you're going to be locked up with, whoever. It doesn't matter what level. It could be, a murderer. Obviously, it could be somebody, tax evasion. It's feds, so it could be somebody big time, drug kingpin, Unabomber. It doesn't matter. I was with famous people, and I have video up on that. If you want to go check it out, go ahead. Of famous people that I was with, not so famous, and so on. The cells were very dirty compared to MDC Brooklyn. Was right there with USP Atlanta, and USP Atlanta was shut down. USP Atlanta was where I got locked up in the hole, and I went from 270 pounds to 155 in 9 months at USP Atlanta. I would compare MDC Brooklyn, not as bad as Atlanta, but close to it. Atlanta was also a dungeon. We called it a dungeon. Had 40-foot walls. It was built almost in the 1890s. Like, it was it was built in 1900 something. So it was a super old prison. MDC Brooklyn, however, not being that old, is a lot like USP Atlanta, where nothing is updated. You walk in there and it's like walking into the 1970s. The toilets the walls have no paint. You can see the remnants of, feces on the walls. They don't really clean it. There's nobody there that gives a hoot about the place, what it looks like. And I was there in 2005. 2005. And I'm positive. I've seen a couple pictures that were posted a few days ago about MDC Brooklyn, and it still looks exactly the same when I was there. And like I said, I was there for about 6 months, 7 months. And I'll go into what happened to me while I was there. So, the waiting room, you have to see the doctor. Every time you go to an institution, you have to see the doctor. You have to get checked out. They have to evaluate you, make sure that you're not trying to kill yourself or, you feel like, hurting somebody else and things of that nature. So by the time all that takes place and they find where to put you, it's about a day or two that you're going to be in these holding tanks. So USP Atlanta was just sickening. It was hard. It was bad. It was pretty bad. But I was already used to it. I had already been. By the time I made it to to MDC Brooklyn, I had already been up the whole East Coast in different federal institutions. So, MDC Brooklyn didn't really seem that different. But yeah. And by the time, so I made it up to the 4th floor or the 5th. I don't remember exactly, but I remember going up to the units, and they were super outdated. Like MDC Brooklyn was one of the institutions where I felt that like it was as old as USP Atlanta. I walk in. I was in a line of about 30 people. 5 go to this pod, 10 go to this pod, 15 go to that pod, and the rest go into the final pod. They're like different pods. So I was in a line where it was pretty long. There were about 15 people in my line. I was probably about the 8th or 9th person in line, and we walk in the pod, and it was almost lunchtime, and I'm standing in line. You have your bedroll. They give you your bedroll. It's going to have your blanket, your towel, your washcloth. Like I say on previous videos, I wouldn't go near that washcloth. It's just sickening. Hopefully your towel doesn't have a bunch of stains on it. And they give you a little toothpaste, little tube of toothpaste, a little small toothbrush about that big, and a hotel bar soap. And and you get a little tube, small little tube of shampoo. That's it, and that's what you walk in the unit with. When I'm in line, I was standing there for about 30 minutes, and the guard is getting people into their cell rooms, and I guess I'm down to maybe to like the 4th person now. And I was asked by one of the inmates in there to step back. Hey man, excuse me, sir, but I wasn't so old back then. I had black hair. I was younger. He asked me to step back he whispered him, you know, he was like, step back because this dude in front of you is going to get hit. I said, oh, okay. So I stepped back. When I stepped back, this guy pulls out a shank. Well, this guy came walking calmly towards us. Big, tall dude. I still remember. If I see his face, I remember exactly who he was. But he was a tall dude. I'm not going to go into was he black, white, you know, brown, yellow, gray. That doesn't concern me. But he walked up and stood in front of me, turned his back towards me, and he pulls out this shank. It was like the size of a baseball bat. Where he got that thing from was one of the bedposts. The bedposts in MDC Brooklyn were metal. And this guy must have hacked one of those bedposts off, and he bent it into, it would look like a sword. It was, you know, and he stuck it right in the guy's face in front of me. Like, he came around and stuck it all the way through. I remember the guy had to post that bedpost in his mouth, and he was spitting his teeth out because it took out some of his teeth when it went in. And the guy tried to grab it again, but the guy that got stabbed, he was able to move around quickly. Like, so the other guy couldn't get his hands back on it to continue the stabbing. So I already knew, you know, the CO, everybody start, you know, not screaming, but, you know, making commotion, you know, and then the CO comes out, he sees blood all over the floor, sees the guy with this thing in his face, and, you know, sure enough, we get sent back out into the hall, pod gets shut down, building gets shut down, and the goon squad gets called, and we all go to the hole. Now, my luck at MDC Brooklyn, I got a little bit of blood on me when the guy got poked. And just because I had blood on me, I ended up doing like 15 days in the hole. And I had, like, I literally walked on the pod. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They don't care. They're just like USP Atlanta. They don't care. The less they have to deal with you, the better. If you're in a hole, you know, let him stay in the hole. If you're in pod number 4, let him stay there. He's a troublemaker. Just leave him. They do not like to push pencil, I guess, if you would call it that. But MDC Brooklyn is a crap hole, for sure. Not the worst by any means. I was in the other crap hole that I was in North Carolina. That one was pretty bad. That one was also bad. So MDC Brooklyn, after the 15 days that I was, about 15 days, 14 days that I was in the hole, they finally let me out. I go back to the same pod, and at this point, I have so many things going on wrong in my life. I have been incarcerated now for 2 years, and I'm still thinking like I have control over the outside, which I don't. You know, when you're in there, you have no control, and the faster you let the outside go, the better it is for you inside there, because that's your reality. Your reality becomes your 4 walls. Your reality is no longer the outside world, and the faster you can accept that, the easier it'll be for you to transition, so to speak. So after I come out of the hole, I go into the pod, and I am not Alex at all. I'm missing my mom. I'm missing my children. I'm missing my dad. I'm missing my ex-wife. Still kind of like, in the picture and not. I don't care now, but back then, I was kept in the dark by everybody. Not sure why, but so I remember when I walked in, the Italians had the TVs, they had the tables, and they had the phones under their leadership. So if you want to use the phone, you had to wait your turn, ask permission. There were certain times that the phone was free. Other than that, it was there. It was up to them whether you could use it. You know, I wasn't into being troublesome. So I was like, okay, I don't care. Whatever. I'm only here on transfer. I'm on my way to my final destination, Fort Dix, and I'm not really looking to get to fights or anything like that. I'm thinking about the streets. So I remember, just to avoid confrontation, I wouldn't even use. This had nothing to do with MDC. Just to avoid confrontation with anybody, I would use the phone whenever I had, $3 or $4 in my books, because it was so hard. I would wait until the best time to use the phone is around 1 to 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when the lazy asses are still sleeping in their bunks, because when you're in a building, you're allowed to sleep in your bunk. Or when all the troublemakers were still asleep. They sleep till late, and or like everybody was either getting ready for the nighttime. The nighttime is when you start playing cards and dominoes, and basically cards and dominoes is all you can play in there. But everybody's up. It's like the rush hour, so to speak. After chow, don't even think about picking up a phone. That was my mentality. So it was like 1:30, and I said, well, this is a good time to try to contact home. And this would have been my first time calling home in I don't know how long. 2 years? So I pick up the phone. I know that my phone is turned on, so I do all the codes and the dialing. You got to do this and do that and blah blah. Okay, call goes through, and I'm talking to my dad. And my dad tells me, yeah, your mom's here, and then I'm talking to my mom, and I start to shake, and I don't want to get emotional, because I don't want her to think that I'm suffering. I want her to think that I'm good. Everything, Mom, don't worry. Everything is gravy. Everything's gonna be all right. I'll be out soon. And out of nowhere, when my mom says hello, and I'm like, bendición. Y'all, you guys that are Puerto Ricans, y'all know what that means. That means mom send me, blessings, whatever. This Italian dude, this big Italian hairy monkey looking, grabs the phone from around me, and he hangs it up. Nah, not gonna happen. That's MDC Brooklyn. That guy, he I know till this day he wishes he never done that. It went really bad for him, really, really bad. I almost got new charges. I went back to the hole. I drew the line where, with my mom. He could have waited until I was done, or he could have just stepped around and be like, hey man, this ain't the time for you to have the phone or whatever. I would have been like, you know what? Okay, bro, let me just I'll be off in a minute. And respectfully, I would have been like, I'll call you back when I can call you back, and hang it up. I was not about confrontation, but the way this dude did it, yeah, he had to go to the outside hospital. Put it that way. And the food at MDC Brooklyn. Woo! They serve a lot of slop. I don't know if y'all know what slop is, but slop is whenever you just throw shit together, and they serve a lot of bread. Institutions that don't have a menu will feed you. What keeps a person fat? Bread. They'll serve you bread in the morning and at noon and in the afternoon. At dinner time, it's bread. They don't care about nutrition. They don't care about fruit. I mean, granted, you're in prison, but your nutritional needs are nowhere near, unless you can make commissary and you can buy stuff off of the shop. You're gonna be a skinny person for skinny, malnutrition, fat guy, because all they're gonna give you is bread, and beans, bread, beans. I grew to hate hot dogs at MDC Brooklyn. I eat them now, but I stayed away from hot dogs for years after I was released. And things of that nature. So, where P Diddy's at, I was there. And if you're there for the first time, it seems like it's the end of the world, like the worst of the worst, the pits of the pits, and it's not. There are way worse institutions in the United States of America. There are. And if you've ever been in one and you'd like to share, what you know about our institution, or you don't even have to be in one. Just if you have a question about an institution, I probably was there. Like I said, I was in 13 of them. I went from Miami, Florida, all the way the coast, into Midwestern United States, all the way up to New Hampshire. And it was just bouncing around on Con Air, bouncing around, and 2 weeks they'll have me here, and 1 month I'll stay here, 3 months I'll stay here, and all, like that. So I could possibly have some information. If not, that's fine. But yeah, I feel sorry for P Diddy. He's in there. You gotta do what you gotta do, bro. I mean, you got money at least. Try it from a person that didn't have nothing. And a lot of people in there just don't have the money that somebody like P Diddy would have. I mean, he can eat comfortably any time of the day. We couldn't. We had to wait. We had to wait and eat slop and like it and not complain. The CEOs at MDC Brooklyn don't care. The people that are in charge of the CEOs, like what do you call them? I forgot what you call them. I'm having a brain fart right now. Los consejeros. Fuck, what do you call them, dumbasses? They're above the CEO. They don't care. It's just, dude, you got to make the best of it yourself. Follow rules, but also make the best of it yourself. Don't get in trouble. Don't go to the hole. There's only 2 TVs. at MDC Brooklyn, whereas everybody else has usually 3 to 4 TVs. There's 65 inmates to each pod. When I was there, they were overcrowded, so there were like 100 inmates to each pod. I don't think it's like that anymore. I think they had to reduce it and have proper amount of people in there. But when I was in there, there was 2-man cells and there were 3 people in it. So one was sleeping on the floor and the other 2 in a bunk. USP Atlanta, there were up to 6 people in a 2-man cell. So there are definitely worse places. You know, I don't feel sorry for P Diddy, because P Diddy, I think, in my opinion, money makes people dumb, stupid, make you do stupid stuff. And the things that he's accused of, you know, I'm not a fan. And you know, he's in there paying right now. He's in there paying a price, because MDC Brooklyn is a shithole, and that's where guys like that should go. To the next one. I mean, I have a lot more stories. I just been away for a minute with this prison stuff, and been busy working. Been busy. But summertime's coming, and I got some really good content coming up. Subscribe if you want. That way, next time a good video comes out, you can definitely get alerted. And thank you for your time. Later.